I should have known something was wrong the moment I saw the woman standing barefoot in the middle of Route 219. She wasn't asking for help. She wasn't waving. She was just smiling, wide enough that I could see her teeth in my headlights. And when my bus drove past her, she turned her head slowly and followed me with her eyes the entire time. 3 days later, 6 people from that same road disappeared. One of them was my friend, Connor, and I still don't know what I saw standing outside our cabin that night. But I know one thing. It was waiting for us long before we arrived. I started backpacking across America after my dad died. That sounds dramatic, but it's true. I was 24, working a miserable warehouse job in Ohio, watching my life disappear into identical days. Then, Dad passed from a heart attack in February, and something in me just snapped loose. So I sold most of my stuff, bought a used backpack, started moving west. At first, it felt incredible. Colorado, Utah, Arizona, cheap motels, truck stops, random strangers, open highways, freedom, or at least something close to it. I posted photos online, met people in hostels, picked up temporary jobs when money got tight. That's how I met Connor. Charleston, West Virginia. He was staying at the same rundown hostel near the river. Skinny guy, curly hair, talked too much when he drank. We got along immediately. He'd been traveling for almost a year and knew every creepy roadside story in Appalachia. The first night we met, he pointed at an old map hanging near the hostel desk. "You ever been on Route 219?" he asked. "No." "Don't." I laughed. He didn't. "There are towns up there where people disappear constantly," he said quietly. "Not officially, but locals know." "Like serial killer stuff?" Connor shook his head. "No, worse." I remember smiling awkwardly because he looked genuinely disturbed. Then the hostel owner interrupted us from behind the counter. "Stay off those mountain roads after midnight," she muttered. Neither of us replied. But later that night, I noticed something carved into the wooden wall beside my bunk. A strange symbol, a circle with 3 crooked lines running through it. 2 weeks later, Connor convinced me to backpack through the Appalachian backroads with him. "Real America's out there," he said. "Biggest mistake of my life." We rented an old Jeep from a guy outside Beckley. The owner refused to meet our eyes while handing over the keys. "You boys stay on the main roads," he warned. Connor smirked. "Sure." The guy grabbed his arm before we left. "I'm serious." That got my attention. "What's out there?" I asked. The man hesitated, then quietly said, "People hear things in the woods." The deeper we drove into Appalachia, the stranger everything felt. Fog hung low across the roads even during daylight. Old churches appeared in the middle of nowhere, burned houses, rusting trucks abandoned beside trees, and almost no people. Our phones lost signal sometime around midnight. That's when the radio started acting weird. Static exploded through the speakers. Connor smacked the dashboard. "Cheap rental." Then we heard a voice, faint, buried under static. "Don't stop." We both froze. The voice repeated, "Don't let them see you." Connor immediately shut the radio off. That should have been enough for us to turn around. Instead, Connor found a listing online for an isolated cabin rental near Blackwater Falls. No signal, no neighbors, cheap price, perfect backpacker logic. The road leading there barely looked real. Mud, trees pressing close to both sides, no lights anywhere. The cabin finally appeared through heavy fog. Tiny, crooked porch, one dim light glowing inside, and standing near the porch, a man just watching us. He wore a dark coat and held an old flashlight pointed at the ground. Connor rolled the window down. "You the owner?" The man nodded slowly, then quietly said, If you hear knocking tonight, don't answer. Around 2 a.m., rain started hammering the roof. Then, knock. 3 slow knocks at the cabin door. We both stared toward it instantly. Another knock. Slow, deliberate. Then a woman's voice, soft, almost whispering. Please, let me in. Every hair on my body stood up because the voice sounded wrong somehow. Too calm, too rehearsed. I finally forced myself to peek through the side window. At first, I saw only darkness. Then, I realized someone was standing inches from the glass, smiling, barefoot. Her eyes looked almost reflective in the dark, and the smile, God, it stretched too wide. We threw everything into our bags and ran for the Jeep. Rain poured sideways through the trees. The woman was gone, but I kept feeling watched. Then the radio turned on by itself. Static screamed through the speakers, and beneath it, whispering. Behind you? I turned. There were people standing between the trees, at least 6 of them, maybe more, perfectly still, watching us, some barefoot, some smiling. One of them looked incredibly tall, wrong somehow, like its limbs bent strangely. Connor finally got the Jeep started. We tore down the muddy road nearly sideways. By sunrise, we reached a tiny town called Elkwater. Everything looked abandoned. Even the diner felt wrong. A sheriff's deputy entered while we ate. The entire diner went quiet. He walked directly to our booth. You boys were up near Blackwater last night? Connor nodded cautiously. The deputy leaned closer. If you hear knocking tonight, don't answer. Exact same words. Before leaving, he handed Connor a folded missing persons flyer. 5 people. All vanished near Route 219 over the last decade. One photo made my stomach twist. The barefoot woman. Except the flyer said she disappeared in 1997. Connor stopped talking after that. Something was wrong with him now. He kept staring at trees, at mirrors, at dark windows. That night, we rented another motel near Route 219. Around 3 a.m., I woke to the sound of the bathroom door creaking open. Connor stood there in darkness, completely still. Then I noticed something horrifying. He was smiling. Same smile. Too wide. Too empty. Very slowly, he whispered, They're outside. I looked. Shapes stood across the parking lot, motionless, facing our room. Connor vanished the next morning, just gone. No note, no bag, no phone. Mud footprints led outside. Bare footprints. Police searched for 2 days. Nothing. No body. No sign of struggle. Last winter, I finally searched Connor's name online again. Nothing came up. No records. No photos. Almost like he never existed. Except for one thing. An old Reddit thread from years ago. At the very bottom was a single deleted comment. Only one sentence remained visible. If they smile at you, keep driving. Because the last time I saw Connor, right before he disappeared, he was smiling too.